All right, guys, this is absolutely insane. This is the new Ferra enclosure from a new brand called Amiiba. Amiiba. This is the Ferra Micro ATX, okay? Micro ATX is booming right now, and I always talk about like, man, it's so cool to see cool textures, cool shapes on the enclosure, but this Ferrofluid is something absolutely insane. It's basically your own little venom living inside your enclosure. Right now we have a magnet so we can actually interact with it, but it is sound sensitive. So right now there's a little microphone right behind there. The entire space is quite loud. So of course this is going to be interacting with anything that's happening in your environment. That is your own little fidget spinner. For example, you can do this. It collects into itself. Is very interesting. And what the Ferrofluid is basically magnetic fluid, kind of like engine oil inside a glass housing that is SATA powered because you need some sort of electricity to keep it running. And there are some other products, including their new AIOs that include the Ferrofluid on the pump head, which looks absolutely insane. They have a speaker that has the same implementation for that little visual variety and movement. One of my first questions was like safety and longevity. When it comes to safety, just don't drink it. And if it spills, hopefully it's not gonna spill. Number two, the longevity is only 3 years. And I asked them what's gonna happen after 3 years. You know what they said? They're like, we don't know. This is one of those like new integrations into this space. So aside from this not leaking, and there's also a little valve at the top here so that because the fluid, when it moves, it expands so that the valve helps to expand some of that volume. So, you know, it's going to stay properly pressurized inside this capsule. So aside from the Ferrofluid integration here, the Ferra would come with a bunch of different front panel designs. So this is the default one with the wood, RGB elements, and aluminum. Actually, is this aluminum? No, this is plastic. It looks like aluminum. They will also have different variety for the front panels, which are behind me. And those panels look absolutely insane, which have some really interesting textures, colors. Price points are going to be ranging, of course, depending on what you get, between $50 to $150, which I would say is kind of fair for that like complexity in the front panel design. And they're also trying to talk about like seasonal releases. When it's winter, they're gonna do something with like some wintry theme. When it's fall or summer, I'm curious to see how that would actually play out, because usually you don't buy a case and wait for a front panel during winter to like customize it in some way. But they're trying something different, of course, with the Ferrofluid and also with the front panel design. So this, for example, is stone. I think it's like some sort of marble. It has a lot of weight to it. It's precision cut. It's very heavy. Probably it's going to be quite a challenge thing for shipping, and which is why we're not seeing this quite often on cases. Like wood is everywhere. It's light and it's now cheap to mass produce. But what Amiiba is trying to do with all these different modules, like look at the texture of this wood. It is so cool to actually have a proper integration into your lifestyle living room environment or a gaming space where you're just trying to introduce a little bit more color. Oh my God, this you can work out with. I love this one so much. The blue is gorgeous, man. Look at this. You like it?
This is my favorite.
Oh yeah. Now, if you also want a cutting board in front of your enclosure, I've seen this design choice for the kitchen. And now it's going to be in your gaming room. I mean, well, thank you. You have the venom, you have motor oil, and now you have a cutting board on top of the case. As for the enclosure, for example, they have proper wood panels, cool texture, thick, you know, not veneer stickers. The case is 31 liters, is going to be a Microtex enclosure. And aside from just having massive GPU support, 360 at the top, everything that feels actually quite sturdy and high quality, like no thin metal. Here we have ATX power supply support on the interior with 3 positions, either in this horizontal position that gives you all the space for a 430 millimeter GPU, or the power supply can be installed in the vertical orientation. Not sure why, actually, because you can still do 150 millimeter power supply in horizontal as long as you do proper job with cable management and like really tightening things up at the back. This cover here is just for visual purposes, maybe to cover the back end of the GPU. CPU towers up to 182 millimeters are supported. There is no side ventilation bracket, and Micro TX, man, it's booming. It is the volume that might become a little bit of a problem for the Ferra, just because like Lee just launched, or will launch, the B4 Micro TX, which is 21 liters. It's 10 liters smaller and basically has the same hardware compatibility. But potentially, once you go smaller, it becomes a little bit more challenging for cable management and like certain component installation. So I don't mind what Ferra is doing here. There's a button on the back to release the side panel, and here we don't have that much space for cable management, or actually not that much at all. You can, of course, install triple 120s at the bottom for extra GPU cooling. That's pretty standard as long as your GPU allows it, if it's not like, full 4-slot graphics card. Now, price-wise, you're looking at $119 if you don't have the Ferrofluid module, or $199 with it. So I think it's actually quite fair for a micro ATX case that feels super premium, has quite good support for ATX 360 I/O giant GPUs. But of course, this thing, your little Venom inside your enclosure, your little engine oil companion is the selling point here. It almost feels like the entire brand philosophy from Amiiba is customization. So they have this new AIO, whatever, 360, right? But now they have interchangeable pump heads. This one has wood, very similar to the wood texture and grain that we see on some of the other front panels. For example, there's this thing that has this beautiful translucent cover and RGB flows through. There's this veneer piece that goes on top. It's all magnetic, gives you customization options, And of course, they also have the Ferrofluid in their own AIO that looks absolutely insane together. But I feel like having only one of the Ferrofluid elements on your case makes a little bit more sense. So the Ferra enclosure by itself in the micro ATX space has tough competition. But with the integration of the Ferrofluid and all the other things where you have interchangeable front panels, the seasonal upgrades that are maybe coming out, is going to introduce and give it a little bit of an advantage in a very competitive and tough space right now. And also, in terms of the Ferrofluid integrations into other products, right now it's in speakers already, and they are potentially thinking of like different desk accessories, maybe keyboards. Not so much for fans, because you need a little bit of depth for the housing, for the Ferrofluid to interact with your sound environment properly. But I don't know. I love the little engine oil blob that goes around. Let me know if you agree. I'm Dmitry. I'll talk to you next video.